Hello and welcome to the GrapeSEED Official Podcast. I'm not sure how summer was where you are, but here in Japan it was miserably hot until just recently. Fall weather has now hit very suddenly, making this a good time for a recap of our summer episodes. The last recap was episode 188, so this one will cover 189 to 200. If I had to boil down the theme and spirit of these episodes down to a single phrase, it would be New Era. If you have been listening, you have heard several new voices and even hosts, as the podcast shifts from being my own personal project to the voice and outreach of the entire GrapeSEED Global Training team. To begin this transition, we had the Meet the Team series, with an episode each for the 4 other members of Global Training: Malone, Marina, Savin, and Julian. These were episodes 190, 191, 193, and 194, respectively. Marina and Savin were guests on previous podcasts, but all 4 came on to share a bit more about themselves and their history with our GrapeSEED family. Usually, in these recap episodes, I choose one representative clip for each series, but for this one, here are 4 mini clips, one from each member. Enjoy!
I think there's a lot of kids out there that need special influences in their life to put out fires. And I think specifically my Unit 18 class, I had one of my students had some really unfortunate circumstances in his life. And, there were behavioral issues in class because of that, and outbursts and the typical things that GrapeSEED teachers have seen. Teachers, any kind of teacher has seen. Kids have issues and emotions, and they don't know how to deal with them, and it comes out in crazy ways sometimes. But being able to talk to him and really listen to what he was going through and comfort him in that, and then give him 40 minutes of fun learning English, providing an opportunity for him in the future to potentially get out of some of those circumstances, with his own hard work and determination and this newfound skill of communication in English. Being able to give him those 40 minutes in class of what appeared to be joy was really meaningful to me. And it's something that, I wish I had, and there's a lot of kids out there that probably wish they have it too.
But basically growing up that way, I knew what it meant to grow up in an English environment, right? In an English language environment, but also having a different language environment at home. So I knew what students would be experiencing. I lived the theory of the curriculum, and I learned English naturally. And I also learned Sinhala naturally. For our listeners, I'm from a country called Sri Lanka. It's in the Indian Ocean. It's an island. And there's several languages spoken there: Sinhala, Tamil, English also. So I learned Sinhala growing up because that's what my parents spoke. But the details of how that happened, the minutia of the way that I learned, is the reason why my Sinhala is not as good as it should be, and why my English is good enough for people to say, "Were you really raised in the South?" That's a joke about the South, okay? We don't have the greatest schools, but we have the best people, okay? Very kind people in the South.
Well, let's take a time machine here back to 2015. What drew you to GrapeSEED originally?
Originally, I wanted my eldest son to get Taekwondo classes. And that's why I went to one of the children's schools, kids clubs, private clubs in Moscow. And as far as I didn't have spare budget for this at the moment, I asked the club if they need a teacher of English, because that's what I could do, teaching just several classes per week while having 2 children. The younger one was a year and a half at that moment. And they said, "Great, we need a teacher, and your son will be able to attend our Taekwondo classes." So that was the opportunity for me to start, but that was not GrapeSEED at the moment. In about a month, one of the mothers of one of my students. She came up to me and she said that at their kindergarten, at the government kindergarten where her daughter went during the day, they also had English classes, but they didn't like their teacher. They said that she used Russian a lot and not many English, and they were disappointed. And they asked me to go to the principal and to talk to her. So I went, and she mentioned that they were going to start GrapeSEED. I asked what this is, and she told me she advised me to look through the website, and that was the information, nothing more, like no advertising, nothing. I said, well, okay, if you don't mind about my person taking this position, I will investigate and I'm ready to start. As a result, I got 3 groups of more than 50 students in 2 different buildings.
Yeah, with the best classroom story, I would say it'll have to be my head teacher teaching, and I got to observe that before I actually got a hands-on on teaching GrapeSEED. Her name is Miss Becca. I know she's been on some of the videos, training videos, but I was really intrigued and I'm even mesmerized by her teaching, because before then I've never had an experience watching a classroom or even teaching. So for me, watching Becca kind of lead the class and the young students, I think they were about 5-year-olds. I think they were 5-year-olds, but seeing them so immersed into the learning GrapeSEED, and them singing along the song, listening to the story, that was all that being taught in a classroom. That even till this day I cannot forget that classroom and that particular class.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.